friends, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing episode 3 of the Pursuing Jesus devotional series. So I hope you guys have been keeping up with the devotionals. They've been really interesting and just really eye-opening as well. And today we're going to be talking about Genesis 39. That is, I believe, week 6. Yes, week 6 of our devotionals. And yeah, so let's just get to it. Alright, so let's just summarize what's in chapter 39. So basically, Joseph was taken to Egypt as a slave, and he was sold to a guy named Potiphar. I believe these names are kind of confusing sometimes, to be honest. So I'll put it somewhere on the screen once again. So he was sold to Potiphar, who was basically like captain of the guard. Like he was kind of like the head of the secret service, I would say, to the Pharaoh. And in this whole time, Joseph was serving under him. And he actually noticed a difference in his life. He noticed that things were going better with his crops. Just in general, like he saw that the Lord had his hand over Joseph. And I'll put a specific verse somewhere here so you guys can read it along. Also, you know, the Bible tells us that Joseph was like a good-looking guy. Like there's not a lot of people that the Bible refers to when they talk about beauty. But they do with Joseph, who was being pursued by by Potiphar's wife. Like she was trying to sleep with him, and he was just like avoiding her at all cost, running away from her. Like he just wasn't having it. And eventually she got fed up, and so when he rejected her, once again she set up a trap kind of thing. She made it seem as though he left his clothing at her home, and that he tried to sleep with her. And obviously that's a lie. But Potiphar, like, he has to believe his wife, right? He can't just believe a servant slave. So he sends him to jail, and even in jail, Joseph still has the blessing of the Lord over him, and we see that he actually prospers in jail, and he continues to be the person that he is in and out of it. Now, what can we learn from this? Well, something that I saw was that Joseph, he's been through a lot. He got betrayed by his brothers, he was sold into slavery, and now he's in jail. All of that in general as a whole just completely sucks. Like so many bad things, one after another, and it just continues. So here, like Joseph, he has all the reason to become bitter and angry and push God away and to go down a different path, but he doesn't. And that is the key, I believe, in this story. He pursues and he continues in his relationship with God. And it's interesting because the Pharaoh actually saw this in Joseph. So in the beginning, in verse 3, and I'll read it right now, it says, "And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and the Lord made all of that he did to prosper in his hand." So Joseph, like, in a way, kind of reflected Christ, right? Like all Christians should. But the Pharaoh saw this, and he took note of this. Joseph was given an important role in the Pharaoh's home. And when it was taken from him, and he was thrown to prison, he still prospered. Now, why would you say, why did he prosper? And that was because God was with him. The application here is that there's no excuse to become bitter and angry towards God. I feel like I've seen it in a lot of people, especially like people that have been like in our youth group, in my youth group, people who like something bad happens and they take it as God lashing out at them, or something negative. And instead of making it as a trial and pursuing God and staying close to God, they just leave and go away. While that shouldn't be the proper reaction that we have, right? We should be able to continue our walk with God, and no matter what life is being thrown at us, like what situations we're in, we're still walking forward and we continue to go towards God. If we continue to read Joseph's stories, we see that being in jail, being betrayed by his family, all had a purpose. A great purpose in the grand scheme of things. And I feel like this is a story that maybe we can go in deeper in a separate video and just talk about Joseph. But we see that later in his life, he goes through a situation where all the things that he went through benefited him and helped him and prepared him for the role that he has in Egypt. If you read other verses in the same chapter, you see that, and many times he is reflecting God. Like people see that the Lord is with him, and the Lord prospers him in all the situations that he was in. There are various verses in this chapter that talk about how people could see that the Lord had his hand over him, or that he was blessed. And to me, that's just a testimony in itself, right? Like Joseph was put in a situation, like the Pharaoh knew that he was a slave and that he got probably taken away from his family. Obviously, he bought him, right? But he still saw that Joseph was hardworking. He still saw that Joseph was doing the best of his situation. And you can just see how he probably saw like, well, this guy is in a really rotten position, but the Lord still has his hand over him, and he's still pursuing his best self, I guess you could say. And it just shows how with the actions that we carry, the actions that we make, the things that we say, all of that reflects God, and people can see that. And Joseph, in this story, he's glorifying God because people see the things that he's doing. They see that he is hardworking. They see that he is different, I would say. And he is reflecting God, and he's glorifying God, and he's giving himself a good testimony and a testimony into who the Lord is. So yeah, that's going to be the end for this devotional. I really enjoyed the story. If you continue reading the devotionals, it gets really interesting, and you can really see how Joseph kind of grows, and how the things that happened for a purpose. And hopefully, I think this is a story that I would like to make a full dedicated video on, because it's one of my favorite stories, I think, from the Bible. Well, guys, that is going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys liked the video. Go ahead and press the like button, rate, comment, subscribe, share the video, like we said in the last video. So, yeah, I hope you guys have a great and fantastic week. I will see you guys on Sunday. Yes, bye, guys.